Have you ever wondered why one bridge became one of the most important places in American history? Not a government building, not a battlefield, just a bridge. Yet on March 7, 1965, the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, Alabama, became the focal point of a struggle that would help change the United States forever. Most people know that civil rights activists were attacked while marching for voting rights, but most people don't realize the bridge itself played a crucial role in what happened. The real reason John Lewis crossed the Edmund Pettus Bridge wasn't simply to reach Montgomery. It was to make America pay attention. To understand why, we need to go back to Selma in the 1960s. At the time, African Americans made up a large portion of the population in Alabama's Black Belt region. Yet many were prevented from voting through literacy tests, intimidation, discriminatory registration practices, and threats of violence. On paper, they had the right to vote. In reality, many could not exercise that right. Civil rights activists had spent years trying to change the situation. Among them was a young John Lewis, chairman of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, known as SNCC. Lewis believed that voting rights were the key to political equality. Without the vote, communities had little power to influence laws, elect leaders, or challenge discrimination. By early 1965, activists had focused their efforts on Selma. The city became a testing ground for the broader civil rights movement. Then came a tragedy. A young black activist named Jimmy Lee Jackson was shot by an Alabama state trooper during a voting rights protest. He later died from his injuries. His death shocked the movement. Civil rights leaders decided something bigger was needed. They would march from Selma to Montgomery, the state capital, to demand federal protection for voting rights. And that is where geography enters the story. Anyone leaving Selma on foot toward Montgomery had to cross the Alabama River, and the most direct route was the Edmund Pettus Bridge. The bridge rose high above the river in a sweeping steel arch. Because of its shape, marchers crossing the bridge could not see what waited on the other side until they reached the top. Likewise, photographers and television cameras had a perfect vantage point. The bridge acted like a stage, a narrow corridor where thousands of eyes could focus on a single moment. On the morning of March 7, approximately 600 marchers set out. John Lewis and fellow activist Hosea Williams led the way. As they climbed the bridge, they could see only the road ahead. Then they reached the crest. What they saw changed history. Waiting on the far side were Alabama state troopers, sheriff's deputies, and mounted officers. The marchers were ordered to turn back. When they refused, the officers advanced. What followed became known as Bloody Sunday. Peaceful demonstrators were beaten with clubs, trampled by horses, and exposed to tear gas. John Lewis suffered a fractured skull. Many others were seriously injured. But here's the twist. The authorities won the confrontation on the bridge, yet they lost the battle for public opinion. Television networks interrupted programming to show the footage. Americans across the country watched the violence unfold in their living rooms. People who had never heard of Selma suddenly knew its name. People who had never seen voter suppression witnessed the consequences firsthand. The bridge had transformed a local issue into a national crisis. Most people don't realize how quickly the political impact followed. Within days, support for voting rights legislation surged. President Lyndon Johnson addressed Congress and called for action. Later that year, the Voting Rights Act of 1965 became law. The legislation dramatically expanded federal protection for voting rights and helped dismantle many barriers that had prevented African Americans from voting. The real reason the Edmund Pettus Bridge matters isn't because it is architecturally unique. It matters because geography and history collided there at exactly the right moment. A bridge designed to carry traffic became a bridge between two eras of American democracy. Today, millions of people know the image of marchers crossing that steel arch. But the bridge was never the destination. It was the place where a nation was forced to confront itself. And that may be the most remarkable thing about the Edmund Pettus Bridge. A structure built to connect two sides of a river ended up helping connect America's promises with its reality. Thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.